Who should the Red Sox bring in for 2026? We're about to find out. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Sea Radio. My name is Corbin. Thank you very much for clicking on this video. Ladies and gentlemen, the Boston Red Sox, they need to make some moves this offseason, right? They're getting close to being that dominant competitive team we are hoping for, but they're not quite there yet. You know, another team that should be making a lot of moves this offseason, the New York Yankees. I mean, those guys were just totally outmatched in every single way in this ALDS. Felt kind of good to see, and I'm not exactly the biggest fan of the Toronto Blue Jays. I mean, that was just a brutal series for the Yankees. But not the point of this video. Very funny point, but not the point of this video. We got to figure out who the Red Sox should bring in this offseason. And obviously, there's quite a long list of guys that could help this team, so we're going to narrow it down to 3 names on this list. But first, we got to talk about some honorable mentions, because there are some guys in here that might not make the list, but could be a potential impact. And specifically, I want to put 2 guys in the honorable mention category. I want to put the guys that are on this Red Sox team right now who could end up testing the free agent market, specifically Alex Bregman and Trevor Story, because if both those guys end up opting out, which is still up in the air right now, right? I think it's pretty likely Trevor Story opts into the last couple of years of his contract. Bregman feels a bit more likely, but I do still think there's a real world in which he ends up opting in for a second year as well. However, both those guys hit the free agent market. You got to find a way to bring at least one of those guys back, right? Specifically, I think you have to bring Alex Bregman back. I get it. He was extraordinarily mediocre since coming back from his injury, but at the same time, too, if he does opt out, he certainly won't be coming back for $40 million, right? It'll be a little bit less, probably significantly less if we're being honest. Be more of a longer term contract, probably in that 25 to 30 range, which would save the Red Sox some money. Plus, you trade Rafael Devers for this guy. He is still a legitimate impact baseball player, I think, at the end of the day. And 3, you saw what he did to the other players on this team, right? You're not just paying $26, $27, $28 million for Alex Bregman. You're paying $26, $27, $28 for everyone else to be an improved player, right? I mean, Nathaniel Lowe, Ceddanne Rafaela, Jarren Duran, Roman Anthony, they all gave credit to Alex Bregman when they had really great stretches this season. Even Trevor Story was talking about how better he became with Alex Bregman on this team. So you got to bring that dude back. Trevor Story opts out. I mean, I would love to have him back, but then you start having a conversation of, hey, is Bo Bichette a name that maybe you could go out and get, right? Is that a guy who could potentially be a second baseman for you for the foreseeable future? That would be really, really fun, right? So really, it's 3 honorable mentions here: Bregman, Story, and potentially Bo Bichette. And we'll have a Bo Bichette conversation if it opens up. But those are just the honorable mentions. So let's get into our top 3 targets right now for this Red Sox team. Coming in number 3, I have starting pitcher Dylan Cease. Now, the immediate reaction to this is going to be, Corbin, what the hell? Right? You take a look at the back of the baseball card, it's not exactly incredible numbers. This dude had a 4.55 ERA this season. That can't be a very good pitcher. And honestly, I don't disagree with you, right? I do think this was a bit of a down year for Dylan Cease. But at the same time, too, when you're looking at what a pitcher could be over the next, let's say, 3 or 4 years, right? What is that going to look like? You got to take a look at something outside of just a simple ERA, right? You got to take a look under the hood, so to say. Now, under the hood, a little bit of a different story. His FIP this season was lower than his ERA, 3.56. I mean, that's significantly lower, right? That's almost a run lower than what his ERA led on, which meant individually he was pitching a bit better than his ERA leads on. 2, he was fantastic at missing bats this season, a whiff rate of 33.4%. That was in the 95th percentile among Major League Baseball, putting him in the elite category. Chase rate of 31% in the 80th percentile, and a strikeout rate of 29.8% in the 89th percentile. In fact, a lot of his under the hood metrics indicate that he still has the potential to be a very good starting pitcher. The one sort of tough metric here is that walk rate, and I do think the Red Sox can help him get back in the zone a little bit more than he has over the last couple of seasons. Couple of examples of that, I think Garrett Crochet, right? He was fantastic at hitting the zone this season. Aroldis Chapman, what the Red Sox were able to do with him this season, really transformed his entire game, right? Now, the thing you have to remember here is that the Red Sox don't need an ace, right? They have one of those guys. It's different than last offseason. They have one of the best 4 pitchers in the entire sport manning the top of this rotation. What they need is a solid, experienced number 2, or even potentially an experienced number 3 if they're that confident in who Brian Bayo can be going forward, right? So you sit there and you say, where can you get that? Well, Dylan Cease could be that legitimate answer, especially under a regime Andrew Bailey and Craig Breslow have sort of built for themselves. On top of that, you talk about, okay, you need an experienced arm. Well, Dylan Cease has been in the league for a pretty decent amount of time. He's also been a bit of a workhorse during that time span as well. Dating back to 2021, Dylan Cease has made at least 32 starts in that year, and in that time span, he has a 3.72 ERA with a 3.37 FIP and a 1.14 ERA plus. Even if this isn't holy crap, that is legitimate ace numbers, this is still a very solid starting pitcher and would immediately raise the ceiling of the Boston Red Sox. Not to mention, he has a 1.62 ERA in 3 starts at Fenway Park. Now, that's a little bit of a small sample size, and really, I don't know if that's going to have a huge impact on whether or not he comes to the Red Sox, but definitely something to note here. Again, he's 30 years old, so I wouldn't be going out there giving him, 6 years, $260 million or whatever, but if you could pick him up on a 3 or 4 year contract, you can get sort of the prime of his 30s, right? Which I don't know if that's a thing, but you guys understand what I'm saying. This could be a great addition to the Boston Red Sox. But before we get to our 2 and our 1 here, we got to hear from today's sponsor. Because I have to tell you, if there's a surefire way to feel better the next morning after drinks with friends, it's pre-alcohol. ZBiotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking, and the last time I talked to you guys about ZBiotics, I told you that I was pretty skeptical about it at first. I used it at Fenway Park back in September, and I absolutely loved the way I felt the next morning. And I've continued to use it into October, especially during Oktoberfest season. Here's how this thing works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's a buildup of this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for rough mornings after drinking. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Fall is here, and that means it's time to enjoy cooler weather and some drinks out with friends. Whether you're enjoying a pint at an Oktoberfest celebration like me, or having a spooky cocktail at a Halloween party, don't forget to drink pre-alcohol before drinking. You'll be able to celebrate and still wake up feeling great the next day. To check out ZBiotics, go to zbiotics.com/RSR to learn more and get 15% off your order when you use RSR at checkout. ZBiotics is backed with a 100% money guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason at all, they will refund your money, no questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/RSR and use code RSR at checkout for 15% off. Number 2 on my list right now is Kyle Tucker. And wait a second, Corbin, this makes absolutely no sense. The Red Sox, they have so many outfielders right now. Why would you bring in a guy like Kyle Tucker? Well, it's kind of the same conversation as bringing in a guy like Kyle Schwarber, right? Kyle Schwarber hits a lot of home runs. He was incredibly fun with the Boston Red Sox. A lot of people say he should have never left. The problem with Kyle Schwarber is, yes, he hits a lot of home runs, but he also strikes out a whole bunch and doesn't put a ton of balls in play. Kyle Tucker, kind of the exact opposite of that. He's going to hit you home runs. In fact, over his last 4 seasons, he's been a 30 home run, 100 RBI pace player. On top of that, in his 2 seasons where he played almost every single game, he was a 30 home run player with 100 plus RBIs, right? So you're getting that home run potential in Kyle Tucker, but you're also getting something, in my opinion, that could be just as valuable, and that's that he is a complete hitter. Right, there isn't really a part of his game at the plate where you're sitting there saying, you're going to have to figure out how to balance that out in the rest of the lineup. He quite literally fixes every single problem the Red Sox have offensively right now. Need a little thump? Kyle Tucker's going to bring that. Need some clutch moments? Kyle Tucker's going to bring that. But on top of that, too, you need to cut down on strikeouts. Right, it was a massive problem last season for the Red Sox. It was a massive problem this season for the Red Sox, especially with runners in scoring position. Kyle Tucker is one of the most difficult strikeouts in the entire sport. This season, he had a 14.6% walk rate. He had a 14.7% strikeout rate, striking out almost less than he was walking. Good for the 85th percentile in Major League Baseball. He doesn't chase and he doesn't whiff. Contact and power combined, yeah, I want that here at Fenway Park. Imagine a lineup that has Roman Anthony and Kyle Tucker back-to-back in it. I mean, that would be a ton of contact. That would be a ton of power. That would be a ton of legitimate legitimate enforcement in the middle of this order, right? But again, it's going to be incredibly difficult to figure out how you're going to play this guy every day. He's not exactly the world's greatest defender. Could you move on from Masataka Yoshida and trade one of your outfielders for a starting pitcher? That would allow you to sort of cycle him in between left field and DH for the next couple of years. Yeah, I think you probably could. Right, I think that would make sense for the Boston Red Sox. It's not going to be easy, but if you're talking about the player who would have the highest impact on this Red Sox team, it has to be Kyle Tucker. It has to be, right? He's the best talent on the open market right now, and he kind of perfectly solves the Red Sox biggest problems offensively. I love this guy. I love this bat. I just don't know how the Red Sox make it work. My number one target for the Boston Red Sox right now, the guy that I think the Red Sox need to sign more than anybody else in this free agent market, is Polar Bear Pete Alonso. And this is a bit of a drastic change from where I was last offseason. In fact, I said I didn't want Pete Alonso last offseason, but situations changed. I mean, coming into this year, you had Devers, you had Tristan Casas, and you had Masataka Yoshida all taking up spots. So you sat there and you said there's just simply no room. It just doesn't make sense to bring Polar Bear Pete Alonso to the Boston Red Sox. This year, it's a little bit different, right? You saw or you watched the end of the year press conference. Maybe you saw the recap here on Red Seat Radio. And the number one thing that Craig Breslow pointed out for this offense is you needed consistent at-bats with runners in scoring position. Pete Alonso this season had 41 doubles, which led the National League. He also had 38 home runs and 126 RBIs. Yeah, I think the Red Sox could use a guy like that in the heart of this lineup, but he plays every single day with a full season in his last 2 years, and the Red Sox would kill to have some pull power righty in the heart of their order. I mean, look at his spray chart over Fenway Park. Dude would just absolutely mash here if he played 81 games. Imagine a pickup like Adam Duvall a couple of years ago or Tyler O'Neill a couple of years ago, right? Those are guys who are pull power righties who played much better at Fenway Park than they had in recent years. Now imagine that taken up a few notches, right? Imagine a guy who's already an unbelievable masher getting the opportunity to hit in one of the best right-handed hitting ballparks in the entire country, right? That's a guy that you should be having on this Red Sox team. You want to fix your offensive thump problem? You want a guy in the heart of this order that's going to be an absolute fear of opposing pitchers? Pete Alonso is 100% that player. Now the problem with this is that he's also really bad defensively, like almost unplayably bad defensively. He got a lot of time at first base for the Mets over these last couple of years, mostly because they didn't have another option, but he's got the yips when he throws, right? He can't field the ball and throw it to a pitcher cleanly, and he's not great defensively overall in general. This guy, most likely going forward, is going to be mainly a DH, which is a bit of a problem for the Red Sox, considering right now they got a couple of people that could clog up that DH position, specifically Masataka Yoshida. However, as much as I, liked what Masataka Yoshida showed us at the end of the year, if we're comparing apples to apples here, Pete Alonso isn't really an apple, right? He's an orange. This dude slashed .272 with a .347 on base percentage and a .524 slug with 30 plus home runs, 100 plus RBIs. You're taking that over Masataka Yoshida every single day. You just simply are, right? Now, I don't know what a contract would end up looking like for Pete Alonso. I would imagine it'd probably be in that 4 to 6 year range, right? Probably going to be a pretty high AAV. I'd imagine over $30 million a year. It's a lot to give a DH. But again, you're taking a look at where the Red Sox are at. They've got a lot of players under control or under contract very cheaply for a long period of time. You can afford to spend stupid money on a guy like this who would really sort of turn around your lineup. I would absolutely love to have Pete Alonso in a Red Sox uniform. It's not going to be easy with teams like the Mets, probably the Yankees, right? Looking for a player like this. You're going to have to overpay for him, but at the end of the day, you're going to have to overpay for any free agent. So this is a dude that is absolutely number one on this list. Now, if you take a look at this list overall, one, I'm assuming you guys have different lists, so let me know in the comments down below which guys that I did not have on here do you want really badly in a Red Sox uniform. But two, I said the same thing kind of over and over again, and that said, it isn't a perfect fit. And that's sort of the theme of this offseason, right? There are guys who are going to be able to improve real key issues for the Boston Red Sox, but none of them are really like oh my God, all you have to do is slide this guy in and it's going to be an absolute match made in heaven. The Red Sox are going to have to get creative with how they improve this roster, but I do think all three of these guys could make some big impact on the Boston Red Sox. Now, I don't think you're going to get all three of these guys, so you're going to have to kind of pick and choose here as to which ones you want. In my opinion, Pete Alonso, Dylan Cease, or Pete Alonso, Alonso and a trade, that's a really, really productive offseason. But that's just my opinion. So let me know in the comments down below, what do you think of my list? Again, do you have any changes? As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. But don't forget to hit the like button as well. Just helps these videos out a ton. Best way to let me know you're enjoying the content. We are back on podcast. So if you want to listen on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, all you have to do is head over there and look up Red Sea Radio. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the red seats.